Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. My name is Amir Khalaf bin Supian and my ID is 220111090. Today I'll be walking you through the findings of our digital forensic investigation into a suspected examination paper leak. To conduct this investigation, we strictly adhered the standard forensic protocols. We first acquired the digital evidence using FTK images to ensure a bitstream disk image was captured without altering the original data. We then performed rigorous hash verification, comparing MD5 and SHA-256 values to guarantee complete evidence integrity throughout our handling. And we also using autopsy for thorough forensic analysis. We uncovered clear proofing confirming multiple suspicious user activities. As a key result of this investigation, our findings confirm that a confidential examination paper was illegally accessed and copied directly to an external USB device. The perpetrator then shared this document online. Furthermore, we identified anti-forensic attempts where local evidence and artifacts were deleted to cover up these actions. Let's move on to the next slide to see the initial investigation plan. Here on this slide, we outline the foundational plan that guided our digital forensic investigation. The initial trigger for this investigation was critical security incident involving a suspect who accessed a confidential examination paper without authorization. The suspect copied this file into an external USB drive, shared the file online, and attempted to hide their footprint by deleting key local evidence. To tackle this systematic breach, our primary objectives were fourfold. First, safely acquire a forensic image of the target machine. Second, verify evidence integrity to ensure court admissible standards. Third, recover digital artifacts. And finally, reconstruct a precise event timeline showing step by step how the data exfiltration occurred. To achieve these goals, our investigative scope focused specifically on high-value system areas, which is core Windows artifact, the system registry to track connected USB hardware, browser history to pinpoint online share activities, system event logs for login and execution records, and the recycle bin to recover deleted files.
Hi everyone, my name is Amin and I will be presenting the expected evidence of our investigation. Before we begin the forensic analysis, we identified the evidence that we expected to recover based on the incident scenario. The first expected evidence was login activity, which could indicate that the suspect had accessed the workstation during the incident. Next, we expected to find evidence that a USB device was inserted. This would be verified through the USB store registry, which records USB devices connected to the computer. We also expected to find evidence that the exam file was opened. To confirm this, we look for LNK files, which store shortcut information and can show the original location of an access file. Another expected artifact was Notepad execution. Since the suspect was believed to have used Notepad, we expected to recover a window prefetch record showing that notepad.exe has been executed. We also expected to recover browser history, which could reveal online searches or file sharing activities related to the leaked examination paper. Finally, because the suspect attempted to remove evidence, we expected to find recycle bin artifacts, which could confirm that the examination paper had been deleted. To recover this artifact, we use FTK imager for evidence acquisition and autopsy for forensic analysis. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Shahid Nursi bin Muhammad Jelani. My student ID is 22011518. Now let's move on to the next phase, which is evidence acquisition. In our investigation into the examination paper leak, our first task was to obtain a reliable copy of the target drive, ensuring strict digital forensic integrity. Using as a data FTK imager, we created a forensic image of the evidence source as a logical bitstream. The data was preserved in the industry standard expert witness format in the file called exampaperleakevidence.e01. For case management and traceability, the acquisition was logged under case number case-2026-exam, evidence number EVD-001, and the target source is target laptop drive Acer. We performed strict cryptography hashtags to ensure our evidence was not modified at any point in the process. FTK imager generated MD5 and SHA-1 hashes during the capture process and verified them again immediately after capture. Both hashes resulted in an exact match, confirming zero data corruption or modification on imaging. To double check, we run a separate verification using PowerShell's get file hash command to generate a SHA-256 hash outside of the FTK environment. With a strict chain of custody for all three hashing algorithms and verification of data integrity, we ensure that all of the later findings in this investigation are forensically sound and admissible.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Amir Hazim bin Hairuzamil. My student ID is 220116009. Now moving on to the forensic analysis slide. Here we examine the acquired evidence without altering the original data. We use two primary industry standard tools, autopsy and FTK imager. So our analysis was broken down into 6 key forensic procedure to reconstruct the suspect's action. First, the recent activity and file access. So we analyzed the shell LNK shortcut files and recent documents to establish when and where the target exam file was opened, confirming direct access from the connected USB drive. Now for the second, we have the identification. We verified system file structures and registry keys, specifically inspecting USB store registry entries to identify external storage devices plugged into the workstation. Third, we have the file recovery. So using autopsy's recycle bin module and unallocated space analysis, we successfully recovered the record of the deleted examination file, establishing that the local copy was deliberately sent to the recycle bin and purged. And then we have the registry analysis and program execution. So we pass Windows prefetch artifacts, specifically for the notepad.exe, to prove that the suspect executed notepad to take notes while previewing the examination document. Now for the artifact analysis. By extracting Chrome SQLite databases, we uncovered searches including how to leak exam paper and visits to file sharing platform like WeTransfer and Reddit. And lastly, the timeline reconstruction. We synthesize all the timestamp artifact from USB insertion to file deletion and web activity into a chronological sequence to build a clear evidence-based picture of the incident. That is all from me. Now moving on to the next slide.
I will now present the key findings of our investigation. After analyzing the forensic image, we recovered several artifacts that match our expected evidence. First, under USB activity, the USB store registry detected a SanDisk Cruiser Blade USB device, confirming that a USB drive had been connected to the workstation. Next, for file access, we found a LNK file showing that the document TFB2143 final exam 2026 docs was opened directly from the USB drive. For program execution, the Windows prefetch artifact confirmed that notepad.exe had been executed during the incident. Our browser activity analysis recovered Google searches such as how to leak exam paper and how to share file online. We also find visits to the WeTransfer and Reddit, indicating that the suspect searched for ways to share the examination paper online. Lastly, under the deleted file, we recovered evidence from the recycle bin showing that the examination document had been deleted after it was accessed. Overall, these findings support the investigation scenario and demonstrate that the confidential examination paper was accessed, transferred using a USB device, searched for online sharing methods, and later deleted an attempt to remove evidence.
This slide summarizes the sequence of events that we reconstructed using the digital evidence collected during the investigation. The incidents began on 25 July 2026 when the suspect logged into the target workstation and inserted a SanDisk Cruiser Blade USB drive. Shortly after, the confidential examination paper was copied from the USB drive and became available on the workstation. On 26 July 2026, the suspect opened Notepad, indicating that notes related to the exam paper were likely created. The examination file was then accessed directly from the USB drive, as confirmed by the shortcut file and file access artifacts. After reviewing the document, the suspect attempted to hide the activity by deleting the exam file, emptying the recycle bin, and safely ejecting the USB device. Around the same time, the forensic team acquired a forensic image of the system using FTK imager to preserve the evidence. Finally, and Finally, on 27 July 2026, browser artifacts show searches such as how to leak exam paper and how to share file online, along with visits to websites including WeTransfer and Reddit. These browsing activities suggest that the suspect was looking for ways to distribute the confidential examination paper online. Overall, this reconstructed timeline clearly shows the progression from file access to data leakage, followed by attempts to conceal the evidence. To conclude, our digital forensic investigation successfully reconstructed the events surrounding the examination paper leak. Based on the evidence recovered, we determined that the suspect used a USB device to access and transfer the confidential exam paper. The suspect then opened the file, used Notepad to create notes, and performed online searches related to leaking and sharing the exam paper. Browser artifacts also showed visits to file sharing websites, supporting the possibility of online distribution. We also found evidence that the suspect attempted to conceal this action by deleting the exam file and emptying the recycle bin. Although we could not conclusively recover the proof that the browser history had been cleared. This limitation does not significantly affect the overall findings because multiple independent artifacts consistently support the sequence of events. The investigation demonstrates the importance of proper forensic procedures, including evidence acquisition with FTK imagery, hash verification to ensure the data integrity, and detailed analysis using autopsy. By combining this technique, we were able to establish a reliable timeline and identify the key action performed by the suspect. Overall, the collected digital evidence strongly supports the conclusion that the confidential examination paper was intentionally accessed, prepared for sharing, and that efforts were made to conceal the activity afterwards.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhanis binti Hashamuddin, student ID 220111575. Now that we've walked through our findings, let's talk about how incidents like this can be prevented in the future. Our investigation confirmed that a confidential exam file was copied to a USB device, accessed, and then shared online before the local evidence was deleted. Based on these findings, we're proposing 3 key areas of improvement. First, restrict and monitor removable storage media. Organizations should enforce USB device control through group policy or endpoint DLP solutions, allowing only pre-approved, encrypted removable media on workstations that handle confidential materials. Every USB insertion and removal should be logged for audit purposes. Second, strengthen access control and audit logging for confidential files. Rather than storing sensitive information or documents like exam papers on local workstations, they should be kept on an access-controlled, centrally audited file server. File-level permissions should be restricted to authorized staff only, with detailed auditing on read, copy, and print events, and alerts triggered for unusual access patterns. Third, security awareness training and insider threat monitoring. Staff with access to sensitive materials should receive regular training on data handling policies and the consequences of unauthorized disclosure. Alongside this, endpoint monitoring and DLP tooling should be deployed to detect and flag attempts to clear browsing history or system logs on machines handling confidential data. Together, these 3 measures, device control, access governance, and awareness plus monitoring, form a layered defense that would make an incident like this significantly harder to carry out and easier to detect early. That's all from us. Thank you.